keep us a secret, pass us on.
Okay, all right.
To your friends.
Where your friends are.
Your family. Your social networking buddies. Tell them about the great music.
Great music.
With the Iceman doing it, Iceman style.
Hey there, this is Interviews with the Iceman. Welcome to another show. Iceman's really excited right now. I have Mr. Tony Justice with me. Real excited because Iceman received an email back from somebody saying, you got to check out this song and this artist, Iceman, because I'm always playing the newer artists. And somebody sent me East Tennessee by Tony. And the minute I heard it, man, I fell in love with the song for the Top 40 show. I'm real excited to have him here. Interviews with the Iceman. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yo, for the listeners out there that hear your music and are not familiar with what you're going on, you're a trucker. You're always on the road, and you manage to make the music. Tell us a little about, how you got into making music and a little about how you got into trucking and making the music.
Well, I mean, music has always been a big influence on my life. Growing up in East Kentucky, my mom played gospel music. I played the bass guitar in her group since I was 7 years old. So I've been around music my whole life. Always loved music, and started writing and actually, getting out and playing some clubs and stuff when I was 21, and just kind of done that for 7, 8, 9 years, and of course got married, had some kids come along, and had to start working a real job. So I got my CDL. My dad drove trucks. I know a little bit about that industry, and got into that. And long story short, the Lord's just blessed us to where I've been able to continue to work on my music while supporting my family. And we just come across a little distribution deal with Pilot Travel Centers there in East Tennessee, out of Knoxville, which is just 30 miles from where I live. And we had a trucking song that we recorded that was actually written by Kenny Chesney and Kim Williams and Randy Boudreaux, that Kenny had recorded, and it just never really made it to one of his albums. So they already had the music for it tracked, and I had a song playing on WIVK called Bring Daddy Home that was doing really well in the East Tennessee area. And Kim Williams lives over in that area, and he'd been hearing this song on the radio, and he found out that Randy Boudreaux produced it. And him and Randy been friends for quite a while and co-wrote quite a few songs. And he called Randy and asked who that guy was singing that Christmas song that the radio station was playing. And Randy Boudreaux goes, "Well, he's a truck driver from East Tennessee." He said, "You ought to know him. He lives right down the bottom of the hill from you." And he said, Kim Williams said, "Truck driver?" And Randy said, "Yeah." I said, "That's what he does for a living." So he writes, comes to town, demos some songs every now and then. And so Kim Williams brought up the idea, so why don't you have him come back to town and sing that song that me and you Chesney wrote that never got cut. So we got the tracks on it. Won't cost him any money. Just let him come down and see if it fits him. It's in the right key, and just see what happens. And went to Nashville. We recorded that thing, and come back through Knoxville on the way back home from Nashville from recording it, and give a copy to a friend of mine's radio station. And he just happened to know the Haslams, which at the time Bill Haslam was the mayor of Knoxville, and that's the family that owns Pilot Travel Centers. So he asked if he could have a copy to get to those guys, and that's all I heard for about 6, 7 months. I was driving through Dallas one day, and Ed Letty, the director of marketing for Pilot Travel Centers, just calls me out of the blue while I'm in the middle of Fort Worth Friday evening rush hour traffic, and asked me what I had in mind and wanted to do with that song. And I said, "Well, there's not really any trucking albums out there anymore. The only trucking songs are the old ones that's been out there forever, and I'd like to do an album and see about selling them in your truck stops." And he said, "Go record the album, and we'll put them on the shelves." And I guess, as I say, the rest is history. Since then, all 6 of the major chain truck stops have picked up distribution on the albums. They're in Pilots, Flying J's, TA, Petros, Loves, and Wilco Hess's nationwide, and we're doing pretty good for a little old independent artist and record label.
You've got some great music. I tell you, you have a great following too. Because I got to say, when we first started dealing with one another, I started playing your music and posting it. Well, I'll tell you, Trucker, man, you have an awesome following because they were just through the woodwork. Even the voting for the top 40 that you consistently make, man, they just come out in droves. Their loyalty.
Their loyalty is, I mean, I would compare them even more loyal than NASCAR fans. It's huge to have those folks supporting me. I mean, and they're like family. I mean, I've been on the Facebook has really been the only way that I've had to promote this album. We haven't had the money to advertise it, so I really relied heavily on social media. And I tell you, I talk to these folks and keep up with them every day on Facebook while I'm getting loaded or unloaded for a couple hours. You sit around, it gives you something to do, and they become like family. And they're more than just fans. They are product placement managers because I've got all these truck drivers. And they'll walk into these truck stops, and if my CDs aren't up front and center, they'll dig through the CDs and they place them. I mean, what artist has fans doing that for? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just
right.
You're only as good as the people that support you, and I've got the best. Support.
You do.
Out here.
You do. It's true. And you know what? I'm going to play East Tennessee right now because that's a song that we started playing, we put on the top 40, and these same people that are doing all this for you on the road and the placement are the ones that are voting you in. I'm going to play East Tennessee. This is East Tennessee, Tony Justice with the Iceman.
There's not a day that goes by, there's not a night that goes by I don't think of you. I've seen a lot of faces, I've been a lot of places, no one compares to you. You know I loved you since I was a child, just like your mountain streams, I'm still running wild. East Tennessee, Smoky Mountain memories, Sweet Caroline and me, skinny dipping in Freedom Creek. Another town, another show, no matter where I go, in my mind I'm always going home to East Tennessee. Still hear him saying, why keep dreaming and playing that old guitar? Haters and high achievers, ex-girlfriends, non-believers, said you won't get far. In a way they're right, 'cause I didn't get far from the place of those to my heart. East Tennessee, Smoky Mountain memories, Sweet Caroline and me, skinny dipping in Freedom Creek. Another town, another show, no matter where I go, in my mind I'm always going home to East Tennessee. Smoky Mountain memories, Sweet Caroline and me, skinny dipping in Freedom Creek. Another town, another show, no matter where I go, in my mind I'm always going home. East Tennessee, Smoky Mountain memories, that's where they'll bury me. That's where they'll bury me.
Okay, that was East Tennessee. Iceman here with Tony Justice. I'm going to ask you a question right out of this song. You told me a little about how you got into the music business and truck driving. I read a little bit about you, and I know when you were a little younger, you also had a childhood dream of racing cars. And is that something, tell me about that. Was that something you did for a little while?
It actually is. I mean, that was all I thought about when I was little, was growing up to race cars. I was the youngest of three brothers, so I always had my work cut out trying to earn their respect. So if they did something, I always had to do it bigger, just to fit in, so they let me hang out with them. So I just kind of had that daredevil thing going on for me since I was little, and just always loved, I remember we went on vacation back in the, I guess, late 70s to Myrtle Beach. I remember it was one of the only vacations that we went on, and we had pulled a camper down there, and we stayed at like a KOA. And there was a guy with a camper that had a TV going, and they had it was either Daytona or Talladega race. I think it was Daytona. I think it was the Grand National race the day before the NASCAR race. And when Ricky Rudd flipped, so many times to the infield on the front stretch by the old 76 sign that used to be at Daytona. Mm-hmm. And I just always had. I never dreamed about being a songwriter or a singer. I mean, when I played bass. When I was younger, from my mom's gospel groups, I actually she played the piano and sang. I actually sat behind the piano and hid, and I just kind of had this stage fright thing, and it was all about racing cars. So when I got out of high school, first thing I did, I got me a job, and I blowed all my money on an old Oldsmobile Cutlass that we turned into a dirt track car, and we went out and Bulls Gap, which is a local dirt track right off of 81 there in East Tennessee, and started racing every week, and just having a big time. But as time would have it, and I guess as fate would have it, where I lived at in Newport, Tennessee at the time, the guy lived right down from me. He was he played country music at a bar up in Gatlinburg, and I don't remember how it came about, but he found out I played bass, and he wanted me to ask if I could come up there and play bass. He said he really couldn't pay me nothing, but free beer, and I help split the tips with you, whatever. And I was like, heck, so I was like, a fun job to me. I blew my motor up, and my race car really didn't have the money to fix it, so my weekends opened up, and I started doing that. And he was a writer. He's the guy that mentored me and sparked my interest in writing songs. And I wrote a song called This Old House, which is the very first song I ever wrote. And he said, T.G. Shepherd used to have a Mexican restaurant up in Gatlinburg called T.G.'s North of the Border. And they had a songwriters contest. They had a bar upstairs, and there was, 15, 20 songwriters up there, and you could do 3 songs. And I got up there, and I'd only written one. So I just did one song. I ended up winning the contest, and it was like 3 weeks later, I started singing some with him at this gig that he had, and I had written a couple of the songs since that contest, and done a couple of them, and there was a guy there that heard one of them, and one of them, with me loving racing as much as I did, and they were racing in Bristol that weekend, so we had a lot of race fans in Gatlinburg saying I did this Dale Earnhardt song that I wrote, and there was a guy in the crowd that heard it, and wanted to help me record that song and do an album, and things just started really opening up and happening with the music, and I couldn't get nothing going with the racing. I couldn't find a sponsor. I was always just so expensive to race, and so I just kind of went with the flow, and I guess here I am,
Right. Now in 2002, you were endorsed by Rusty Wallace.
Sure. Yeah, it was a pretty cool deal, actually. I wrote a song about Rusty. I had this song about Dale Earnhardt. We was having trouble getting to Dale, because he was so popular at the time. This is back in the early 90s, and he was as big as Elvis, and it's just hard to get to him. So we've been trying several different ways to get that song to him. In the meantime, a guy that was actually a pit reporter for the Motor Racing Network that covered the NASCAR races on several syndicated stations throughout America, he was from Newport, Tennessee, and he was a partner with Rusty in some of Rusty's dealerships in that area. And he kept telling me, you need to write one about Rusty. I can get it to Rusty. I know I can get it to him. And I wasn't a big Rusty Wallace fan, and so it was hard for me to write a song about him. But, with the racing experience and my love for racing, it was easy for me to write songs about racing because it's something I could relate to. So I sit down and I penciled this little song, and I met with Jim Phillips was the gentleman's name, and he also was the program director at just a little small town radio station there in Newport. And I played him the song, and just so happens a couple of weeks later, Rusty was at one of his dealerships for some meetings, and Jim lined it up for me to be there. And he walked me into the office, and there sat Rusty Wallace behind the desk. He introduced us. We both sat down in a chair across the desk from him, and told him a little bit about the song, what I was going to try to do. And he said, well, can I hear it? You got it recorded? I said, no, I just wrote it about 2 weeks ago. He said, well, sing it. I'd like to hear it. Here I am without even a guitar, singing this song to Rusty Wallace, just nervous as a cat on a tin roof. And he said, I like it. He said, it ain't number one of them crying in your... He's more of a 38 Special kind of guy. He's not a big country fan, but he's more, 38 Special, Leonard Skinner kind of guy. And all my racing songs kind of had that upbeat kind of thing to it, that kind of sound. So, it was something that he liked. He said, well, go record the darn thing. And we went and made the album. It was titled Rockin' Rusty. It had 10 songs on it that I'd written, and we got in with his distribution on his merchandise trailer for tracks, and we actually released that thing. He endorsed it, Miller Lite, Roger Penske. They all had to sign off on an endorsement. It didn't charge us an endorsement fee, which is unheard of. They really helped us out, and so we went and went on the NASCAR trail, following the races, playing pre-race concerts, and we would actually get to go on the merchandise trailer after qualifying. Rusty, all the drivers would go to their merchandise trailers and sign autographs. And we actually got to go with Rusty and stand on inside this trailer, and when people would buy the CDs, he would autograph them, and I got to autograph them too. So that was a pretty good little wave of success for us. It fizzled out probably within a couple of years, and we actually had distribution through Sony Red, which put us in Walmarts and Best Buys and Targets, but it just didn't sell that good because we had, it took everything we had to get that distribution deal. We didn't have anything left to promote it, market it, or advertise it. So it kind of fizzled out on us, and things went quiet for several years. And then this little deal here with the truck stops kicked in for us. So we got really lucky.
Good. We're going to play another song. This is off of the new Apple Pine Moonshine CD that you have. This is called The Big Road, Tony Justice.
Daddy only let me drive on a dirt road. Blacktop was off limits way back then. I remember that first day we hit that interstate. That highway got up underneath my skin. And I've been rolling ever since. Love to hear those big wheels whine, 'cause my windshield sees the world that my rear view leaves behind. Shifting gears, I love that sound. I top off my tanks and coffee, put the hammer right back down. Yeah, this is who we are and how we roll out on the big road. I've seen this whole country on this big road. My office has one hell of a view. I really like your town, I'd love to stick around, but I'm just a gypsy rambling, passing through. Lord knows that's the truth. I love to hear those big wheels whine, 'cause my windshield sees a world that my rear view leaves behind. Shifting gears, I love that sound. I drop off my tanks and coffee, put the hammer right back down. Yeah, this is who we are and how we roll out on the big road. Big wheels whine, 'cause my windshield sees a world that my rear shifting gears. I love that sound. I top off my tanks and coffee, put the hammer right back down. Yeah, this is who we are and how we roll. Out on the big road, out on the big road.
Okay, Tony, that's The Big Road. Tell us a little about that song. Did you write it, or a little about the inspiration for it?
Chris Wallen wrote that song. We was at Losers meeting with Jeff Sylvie, the guy who ultimately ended up producing the album. And Chris Wallen comes in there, which is kind of a funny story because Chris is from a small town right down the road from where I'm from, White Pine, Tennessee. And he moved to Nashville years ago and has become this awesome songwriter. And he said that he had this trucking song that he had written with Trace Atkins. And how it came about was Trace came up to Chris and said, look, I'm doing this promotion deal with Pilot. They got me on the cover of Challenge magazine, and I need a trucking song that can be a hit on country radio, a crossover. You know, everybody's kind of trying to find that Mama's in the Graveyard, Papa's in the Pen kind of truck driving song that the general public can relate to, and it appeals to them as well as the trucking industry. So I was looking for something, a song along those lines, and he went to Chris. He knew Chris was, a great writer, and they're friends, and I asked him to write it. And of course, Chris goes, "Oh yeah, that's no problem. I'll just get right on that." So they started writing this song, and after they got it written, had it demoed, the deal kind of fizzled out with Pilot and Trace. So they were just left with this song, really nothing to do with it, and we just come along at the right place at the right time, and that song fell in our lap. Chris ended up emailing it to me, the demo. When I heard it, I knew it was going on that. I mean, I almost changed the title of the Apple Pie Moonshine to The Big Road, but our last album was called On the Road, so I didn't want to just beat that road word on every album, so we stuck with the Apple Pie, but I knew that this was a great song, and it had to go on the album.
Right, yeah, it is a good song. Let me ask you, when you're not recording, so busy, you're on the road a lot, recording, you got a lot going on. When you're not recording and driving and you got some free time, what do you like to do?
I spend time with my kids. I'm home. I'm luckily very fortunate that I have a trucking job that I go out and back. I don't go out and go from state to state and gone for a month or two at a time. I'm through my house once or twice during the week, and I'm home every weekend. So when I'm home on the weekend, I got a 10-year-old son and a 18-year-old daughter who's actually graduating this Saturday. I actually have a grandson who's 2 years old, and it's just family time. I live right on Douglas Lake. I love to fish. Me and my son, we fish tournaments on the weekends, and we have cookouts, and it's just family time and rest time. That's what I do. It's kind of crazy. If you look, usually if you put part-time effort into something, you get part-time results. Right. And that's really what's been put into my music for a long time, because my family it comes first. That's my first responsibility. And that's why, I've never moved to Nashville. People say, if you don't move to Nashville, you're never going to make it. And there's a lot of truth to that. But I guess I've just never wanted it bad enough to uproot my family and have my kids sacrifice for my dreams. So right. I always, I work, I take care of them, and I spend my days off with them. And, but it's worked out pretty good for us to be where we are and the things that we've accomplished. We've had so many doors open, thanks to the man upstairs for opening those doors, because I've been doing this a long time, and the last 3 years doors have opened that just don't open unless you have a record label or a promotion company really pushing and working for you. And it's just me and my wife that works on this, and we both have full-time jobs, and we do it in our spare time, and we don't sacrifice much family time with our kids to do it.
Right, and I believe, I'm in the same boat. I believe that's common. You do the right thing, and eventually the right thing comes along, and you're not sacrificing your family. And I don't, when I listen to your music, when I hear you say that, you're going to get there. Doing it the way you did was the right way. It just might take a little longer. But, you know, even the people and the listeners that hear your music, they say it, you know, they just love the music. And not to do it that way and then not have to uproot a family and sacrifice, you know, that's the norm, saying you got to get to Nashville. But you know what? If you don't and you got a great product like you do, it might take a little longer, but it is going to happen. I totally believe that. I'm going to play another song. This is off the On the Road CD. This is 6 Days on the Road. The Iceman and Tony Justice interviews with the Iceman.
Well, I pulled out a Pittsburgh rolling down that eastern seaboard. I got my diesel wound up, she's running like a never before. There's a speed zone ahead, bet alright. I don't see a cop in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. I got 10 Ford gears and a Georgia overdrive. Taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. I just passed the Jimmy Hill White. I've been passing everything inside. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, it seems like a month since I kissed my baby goodbye. I could have a lot of women, but I'm not like some other guys. I can find one to hold me tight, but I can never believe it's right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. The ICC is a checking on down the line. I'm a little overweight, my log book's way behind. Nothing bothers me tonight, I can dodge all the scales alright. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. My rig's a little old, but that don't mean she's slow. There's a flame from her stack and the smoke's rolling black as coal. My hometown's coming in sight. If you think I'm happy, you're right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight.
Okay, Tony, that was 6 Days on the Road from the On the Road CD. You know, can you tell us a little about that one?
You know, that's an old classic that's been around for, heck, 50 years. You know, and Dave Dudley recorded that song back, I don't know, in the 50s or 60s, probably 60s. Yes, sir. It's a funny story, but that's a song I grew up listening to when I was little. I remember we had an album, you know, the big vinyl album that had the cartoon character on the front of it with his big foot sticking out and says "Keep on Trucking," and it had a bunch of trucking songs by Red Sovine and
right.
You know, Dave Dudley, Merle Haggard, White Line Fever, and you know, I grew up listening to those songs, and it was really talking about surreal, standing in the studio, getting to record one of those songs that you loved so much as a child, growing up listening to. I mean, and the way that came about was. Once again, I was at Losers Bar. I mean, this sounds like a commercial for Losers Bar and Grill, but that's kind of the place where I go when I go to Nashville. Because, you know, the producer, that's where he goes. You know, he works for Woozy, and Irv owns the place. So after you're writing all day or recording, everybody goes there and has a drink or, you know, whatever, and just kind of mingles. And I'm standing at the bar getting a club soda, waiting for one. And this little short guy, older guy, walks up to me and he goes, I mean, I didn't know him from Adam. He said, I hear you're doing a trucking album. I said, well, yes, sir. He said, you're going to put the best trucking song ever written on there, aren't you? And I'm like, well, which one's that? And he's like, well, six Days on the Road. It's the anthem for trucking, you know, the anthem song. And I said, man, I'd love to put it on there. I said, but you know, I don't have permission to put it on there. He said, He said, well, my name's Jack Keys. And he shook my hand. He said, you have the permission to put it on there if you wish. He said, I own the publishing on it. And so next thing I know, 2 days later, I'm sitting in the studio cutting the song, you know, that I grew up with. And, you know, it's just, I'm sitting there pinching myself going, I can't believe this is happening, you know. So that's how that song came along, you know.
Well, we're seeing the Iceman learn something new. I concentrate in finding new artists and new music so much, but I wasn't a trucker, though. So, but I appreciate, because that's a good song, too, and you do a great job of it. And you know what? I don't even want to hear the original because I enjoy your version so much.
Well, the original's even better in my book. That's what I grew up listening to. But
think so? I don't know.
You know, well, I mean, take a chance if you get a chance sometime, you know, Google Dave Dudley and pull it up and listen to it. But, you know, anytime you go in to do a remake of a classic of a song that's been a hit, you know, it's extremely nerve-wracking because if that thing don't turn out at least as good or better, you get ridiculed for it. So we've been fortunate enough. Yeah, I mean, it's just very nerve-wracking to go do it. And, you know, we ended up doing Big Wheels Are Rolling on the Apple Pie Moonshine, the old Merle Haggard song, and did a remake of that, and Eddie Rabbitt's Driving My Life Away. I mean, those are two huge songs that everybody remembers, and, you know, it's very nerve-wracking. You know, it's an honor to get to do them, but you want them to be just as good, and we've been fortunate to have all of them turn out really well, you know, to do them and put them on an album.
Well, I tell you what, you know what, you read my mind, Tony, because we're segueing, because that was one of the songs, you know, while I was prepping for the interview that I wrote down that I wanted to play, Driving My Life Away, off the Apple Pie Moonshine CD, and I was listening to it a little bit, and I'm like, I like this song. So you know what? We're going to play that right now. This is Driving My Life Away, Tony Justice with the Iceman.
Where the midnight headlights blind you on a rainy night, steep grade up ahead, slow me down, ain't making no time. Gotta keep her rolling. Those windshield wipers slapping out a tempo, keeping perfect rhythm with the song on the radio. Gotta keep her rolling. Ooh, I'm driving my life away, looking for a better way for me. Ooh, I'm driving my life away, for a sunny day. Well, the truck stop cuties are coming on to me. Tried to talk me into a ride, said I wouldn't be sorry. She was just a baby. Well, waitress, pour me another cup of coffee. Pop me down, jack me up, shoot me out, flying down the highway. I'm looking for the morning. Ooh, I'm driving my life away, looking for a better way for me. Ooh, I'm driving my life away, looking for a sunny day.
Eddie Rapp. We say old dates ourselves, man. We're young. Even we say old, it seems like that song was so long ago. But it really wasn't, you know. but no, the remake of "Driving My Life Away" from the Apple Pie Moonshine CD. I really like that song. I enjoyed listening to it, and like I said, when I heard it, I said, "Yep, I'm going to make that part of the interview." Let me ask you about an event coming up. What do you have coming up in the near future?
We're doing some dates back home. You know, we're going to be doing some fair dates in August. The Appalachian Fair there in Jonesboro, Tennessee, and we always do the NASCAR race at Bristol. I've been working with Food City and Bristol Motor Speedway for 25 years now, doing their events, and that's in August as well. Then we're in Dallas, Texas, for the Great American Truck Show. I'm actually going to be hosting for Overdrive Magazine, Truckers Got Talent show down there. I just found out today I'm going to be the MC and the host of that, and then I'll be doing some performing during that as well. Red Eye Radio's part of it and a big sponsor of it, and actually having the show on the air. So we're going to be down there. I'm going to be doing some stuff with my sponsors, Blue Tiger, which is a Bluetooth wireless headset, which is mandatory in the trucking industry. If you talk on your phone, you have to do it on a headset. You know, you can't have the phone, up to your ear. Which I think is a matter of time. That's going to be whether you're driving in a commercial vehicle or a regular vehicle. Matter of time. I think everybody's going to have them. I think it'll be mandatory. So, but they always have a booth set up, and we do some performing down there at their booth, so I'm looking forward to going down and doing Dallas. That's about the nearest thing I got. I don't really have anything coming up in the near future as far as shows go. I'm just going to be out here hauling this freight and writing songs, getting ready for the next album. Now,
you mentioned Overdrive. Now, you were on a few magazines, right? Overdrive and Challenge magazine?
Yeah, I mean, Overdrive actually put us on the cover of their magazine, which has got a huge subscription base. Right. We were fortunate. I mean, in the history of that magazine, they've only put two personalities on the cover. It's more of an industry type of magazine. New trucks, new FMCA laws. That's the type of cover stuff that you see. And the only other personality that's been on the cover is Lisa Kelly from the TV show Ice Road Truckers. So that was another one of those doors I was telling you about that the good Lord's opened up for us, the kind that just that don't open, and that triggered so many good things to happen for us. It just moves you up. It makes you appear bigger than what you are when things like that happen for you. And the next thing I knew, it's just been like a snowball effect from there. Petro Truck Stops calls me, TA Petro, and they want to do a Justice Burger. And wow, three months later, I walk into a truck stop to eat, and on every table, there's a table tent with my new CD that's fixing to come out, and you try this Justice Burger, and you get a free sample of Apple Pie Moonshine CD. To promote the album, and they ordered 7,000 CDs from me to give away. I mean, so it's just been a chain of events and a lot of blessings from the man upstairs. That's really, it's just really kind of surreal when people actually take the time to read my story and how this has all happened. Right. You can't help but see the Lord's hand in it. I mean, because it's just for an example, Ingram Entertainment, which is out of Nashville, is over an 80-year-old distribution company. And when I started dealing with those guys, when I first went into Pilot, they was with a different distribution company. Well, they changed distribution companies right mid-stride of my CDs hitting the shelf. And the stores are running out of CDs, and I'm calling Pilot going, they're not getting restocked. And they're like, well, we changed distribution companies. We're with Ingram now. I'm like, well, what do I need to do, to get them to stock it for me? And the guy's like, they probably won't distribute you. So they just deal with RCA and MCA because there's so many artists under those two umbrellas. They can put 30 different albums in there, different artists, and only deal with two people. And so here I am, this independent guy, and I tell him, I said, well, can you at least give me a contact and let them tell me no instead of you telling me no? And he reluctantly gives me this contact, and I burn this guy's voicemail up for 2 weeks. He returns my call. And it's one of those calls like, oh, I'm not getting nowhere with this guy. He's acting like he's in a hurry, and lo and behold, we strike a conversation up, and the tables turn, and all of a sudden he's just a nice guy. and I become the first independent artist that this company has ever distributed in the history of their 80-year-old company. He goes, we distribute for 3 people now: RCA, MCA, and Tony Justice. And that's something that I'll never forget him saying that, because it really made me feel good about all the hard work and sacrifice that I've done. But it also, I see it paving the road for other independent artists to have a chance to get their music out there and get distribution, and get a chance to do what I'm doing with their music, and not have to get that big record deal and give their soul to a label, and do it the way they want to do it. So, hopefully that's what we're doing here, and we're kind of paving some roads and making some opportunity for some other artists, because it's tough. I mean, if you don't, music business is feast or famine, and we've just been lucky to where we're selling. I mean, we sold upwards of 30,000 CDs in the 2.5 years with no radio play, no advertisement, nothing like that. And that's not 100,000, but it's enough to where we can afford to pay the publisher now. And when we get done, we got enough money left over to do another album and keep the ball rolling. So, I'm having a ball. It's a blast, and I've been blessed.
On the Road, from, of course, the On the Road CD. A couple of people that wrote that song, correct?
Yeah, it was actually Kenny Chesney, Randy Boudreaux, which Randy produced that first album, the On the Road album, and he was a writer on that. And Kim Williams is, I refer to him as the Dale Earnhardt of songwriters. I mean, he's had number ones recorded from Conway Twitty to Rascal Flatts. The guy's just an amazing songwriter. They're the 3 writers, on that song, and that's the one that I was telling you earlier in the show that when the big country station in Knoxville, WIBK, was playing the Bring Daddy Home Christmas song that I wrote, Kim Williams had heard them playing this song on the radio a lot, and found out that Randy had produced that Christmas song, and that's how they got their heads together. And Kim found out I was a truck driver and goes, let's have him come down and record this song, record it. We've already got the tracks, the music's recorded to see if it fits him. And that's kind of what started the whole deal, the distribution deal and everything, was that song.
Well, let's play it. This is On the Road, Tony Justice.
Driving her crazy, driving that old truck. She needs loving, but she's out of luck. He's on the road, he's on the go, he's on the road, hauling that load on down the line. While he's out there in the fast lane, her life's moving slow, he's on the road. He's pulling into Phoenix, she's pulling out her hair, tossing and turning, wishing he was there. He's on the road, he's on the go, he's on the road, hauling that load on down the line. While he's out there in the fast lane, her life's moving slow, he's on the road. If he's cheated, she hopes that he's been true. She knows he's thought about it, 'cause she's thought about it too. He's on the road, he's on the go, he's on the road, hauling that load on down the line. While he's out there in the fast lane, her life's moving slow, he's on the road. They cold shower in Atlanta, and he called her on the phone. Said it's hot down here in Georgia. She said it's hotter here at home. Get on the road, get on the go, get on the road. Get back in these arms of mine. Now he's got those big wheels burning. She's got the lights down low. He's on the road. He's got those big wheels burning. She's got the lights down low. He's on the road. He's on the road. He's going home. He's on the road.
Okay, Tony, that's on the road. I once again appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to the Iceman. And I'm gonna close it up in a few minutes. I know you're busy. But I still want to play Apple Pie Moonshine. We're gonna close out the show with that. But tell me a little about the song and the CD that's now out.
Apple Pie Moonshine. I was actually in the process of starting to record the album. We was getting studio dates at times. Producer was lining up the musicians. At this point, that song didn't exist. I was actually trucking up through Kentucky, I-75 North, headed up to Cleveland, Ohio, and the first 3 or 4 lines of that song just came into my head with that melody that you hear, the first of the song. It's kind of a talking thing. Apple Pie Moonshine, south of the Dixie line, big old bonfire, about to get buck wild. Those words just fell in my head with that melody, and I just kind of took it from there. I said, well, that sounds cool. Maybe I can get the rest of the words. So I'm driving. I'm singing them lines over and over in my head. Then I get another line and another line, and that's just how I write. I write 9 times out of 10 while I'm driving down the road. And, fortunately, I keep these melodies and words in my head, and I never write them down, and I can go back and remember them. So, I get halfway through the song, and I call my wife. I'm like, man, I've got this great song going. I mean, if I can get it produced the way I'm hearing it in my head while I'm writing it and singing it, this is going to be, a pretty awesome song. And, it could change the whole idea of this album, the whole direction of it. So I finished writing that song. And it's called Apple Pie Moonshine, but if you listen to the song, it's not so much about moonshine or apple pie moonshine, but it's more about the culture around moonshine. I mean, I grew up in Podunk, Appalachian, Kentucky, in a little place called Elkhorn City. And it's in the heart of the Appalachians. I mean, I know what houses look like with dirt floors where I grew up. And, and it's just about that culture, the people the coal miners, we didn't have a big town to go to and do something. People gathered and they cooked and they fellowshiped, and neighbors come together and families, and 3 or 4 people would bring their guitars and they'd play a little music and they build a bonfire and they'd drink some moonshine and just have a big time. I remember those days and what that's like, and so to me, I just intertwined a lot of those memories, my childhood memories of that culture, into that song, and it just happened to be called Apple Pie Moonshine. So it's it's turned out to be a great song for us. People are loving it.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
I think it has a ton of commercial appeal, and what I like about it, and this is kind of what I'm an old classic country fan. I mean, I love the Conway Twitty, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Vernon Gospels. That's what I listen to when I'm driving my truck down the road. And I like some of today's country too. I'm just as big a fan of it as I am the older stuff. But you either change with the times or you get left behind. And so realizing that, my writing, I've tried to keep up with the times, but at the same time, I don't want to forget what I grew up on, my roots. So when I first sat down with Jeff Silvey, and we had the first meeting about doing this album, he said, what's your idea about this album? What do you want to sound like? What are you shooting for? And I'm like, I want to do Eric Church meets Merle Haggard album. I want, when people hear my song, I want today's listener to appeal to them, but I want the people like me, like the Hank Williams Jr. fans and Alabama fans and George Jones fans, to be reminded of that too when they hear it. And I know that's a tall order to try to pull off, but I said, if someone can ever figure out how to do it and they get lucky enough to pull it off, look out. And that's what that song, it has today's sound, but it's got that Hank Williams Jr. kind of older country sound to it. And, people from 90 years old to 7-year-old are just loving this song. So, God just give me the words and threw it in my lap, and it just happened to be we was fixing to go in the studio, and we ended up making it the title track of the CD.
Beautiful. Well, that's how we're going to close it out. But I got one more question as you were talking that popped in my head. Being a truck driver, are you ever driving down the road and you got a haul, you're hauling across, and you got to be somewhere, and you get such a good lyric pop in your head that you got to stop, pull over, and write it down?
I don't stop and write. No, I mean, I just wrote a song a couple weeks ago. There's so much to feed off of out here on the road. I like to say that there's inspiration around every curve if you're a songwriter or a truck driver. I mean, you hear things on the CB there was I was going up to Virginia, and there was a truck in the hammer lane, in the fast lane. He's running about 62 miles an hour, and his truck's governed. That's as fast as he can go, trying to pass another truck that's governed at 61, and we're stuck behind him for 10 miles. He finally gets around and gets over, and we can go on. And this truck driver gets on the CB and goes, "Damn, driver, you broke down in the hammer lane up there, ain't you?" And it just stuck out, broke down in the hammer lane. And I'm like, man, that's a great hook for a song. And then within 50 miles, I got this song wrote called "Broke Down in the Hammer Lane." Not mechanically broke down, but this truck driver's out here on the road. His woman's left him. He just emotionally broke down in the hammer lane. He's driving 80 miles an hour trying to outrun the pain. And there's so much of that out here on the road, driving a truck. I mean, I've written 98% of my songs while I'm driving down the darn interstate. And, every now and then you write enough bad ones, you write a good one. So we've been lucky to write a couple of the good ones, yeah.
There you go. Well, Tony, we're gonna play Apple Pie Moonshine. I want to thank you for your time. I know you're on the road and you're busy. Just keep up the great work, man. I enjoy the music. A lot of the listeners that haven't heard of you before enjoy the music. And, all your loyal fans are pushing you to make some new stuff and getting the Iceman to play it. And I just love it. So you can look forward to hearing even more than the two that I'm playing in the rotation. And I do appreciate your time, brother. Be safe on the road, and thank you for giving the time to talk.
Listen, it's been totally, it's awesome for you to have me on your show. I love your show, and thank you, for what you're doing for independent artists like myself, and thanks to all your listeners out there. I hope all your listeners are sharing your link on their Facebook and their social media and helping get the word out about what you got going on, because, what you're doing here for independent artists is a good thing. Everybody wants to play the stars, and you taking the time to do what you do and taking that chance to play somebody that nobody's ever heard of.
Dixon line, big old bonfire, about to get buck wild. That country bass is thumping, and those catfish are jumping, and those pretty country girls are dancing with their country bumpkins. Slide it to the right now, come on, let's go. Spin them girls around, boy. Do-si-do, 'cause we're country folks getting down and holler with the big hell yeah and a holler and a swaller. We're gonna get down, way down south with the sweet apple pie moonshine that shut my mouth. Little cut-off Wranglers, I know she didn't dang her. She knows how to drive me crazy with what the good Lord gave her. She ain't the only one, boys, they're everywhere. Got redheads, blondes, and brunettes, and a clear mountain air. Maybe later on, sneak off behind that big oak tree. Just me and my little lady, and the birds and the bees. 'Cause we're country folks getting down and holler with the big hell yeah and a holler and a swaller. We're gonna get down, way down south with the sweet apple pie moonshine shook my mouth. Way back up in these sticks, we're not big on the politics, so you can keep your gun control off. I'll keep my 30-06. My grandpappy passed it down to my dad and then him to me. I'm gonna give it to my son. That gun's part of this family. We're country folks getting down in the holler with the big hell yeah and a holler and a swaller. Where we're gonna get down, talking way down south with the sweet apple pie moonshine and a shove my mouth off. Apple pie moonshine south of that Dixie line. Big old bonfire about to get a buck of wine.